Hello and welcome to the Man Games. This is the podcast show. Is the Man
And the wife.
podcast. Today is a special AEW episode. It is us talking about AEW. Obviously, what we like, what we dislike, things we'd like to see in the future.
Yeah, just sort of everything, all things AEW. We've kind of haven't really got a plan in as such of what we're going to discuss. We're just going to
Wing it.
pretty much wing it. That is the plan. So let's see how we go.
So some of the key people in AEW, obviously Tony Khan is the president and the CEO. Cody Rhodes is the exclusive vice president, as is Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, Kenny Omega, and Brandy Rhodes is the chief brand officer. I kind of think having so many people in the same role, that is a bit sketchy, really. That's one thing. I can't say it's not I don't like, but I think if our top talent being in charge of, parts of the company, I think that's
Can make it difficult, can't it?
yeah.
Like I imagine, obviously at the moment, obviously clearly it's working very well from what we can see, product wise. But too many Chiefs or enough Indians sort of scenario, or start clashing heads or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, everything at the moment seems really good, but
Yeah, but later down the line, you just isn't that kind of happened with WCW?
well, Kevin Nash was the booker in WCW, so doing the matches and things, who's going to win and things like that. That kind of, yeah, obviously you can see by history, can't you, how that went?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen with AEW, but
No. I think these guys know what went wrong in WCW, and they don't want to recreate that.
yeah,
And I don't think Cody, Kenny, and the Young Bucks are like selfish talents. Obviously, Cody won't be challenging for the AEW Championship, as he lost to Jericho. That was a stipulation. He can never fight for
yeah.
the AEW Championship.
And
Matt and Nick Jackson lost to Private Party in early days in AEW, putting them over, trying to make them look a better star. Obviously, Kenny Omega, some people think he's the greatest wrestler in the world at the moment, and obviously he's just, I mean, in my eyes, his not feud, his storyline with Hangman and Page is the best thing in AEW, but it's meant to be like more mid-card than obviously the main picture of AEW.
yes, but yeah, you're right, and I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, but obviously Cody and all that, they created AEW to give wrestlers a chance and to create a good product for
An
wrestlers.
alternative, I think.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Whereas like Kevin Nash and that came into WWE and then was given this, so it's not like their baby. Like that's their baby. They're creating, for Cody and that, it's their baby. They've created. They want to make it successful. Whereas for Nash, it kind of was going in and thinking, yeah, all right, then let's give this a whirl, sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my first question to you is: what are some of the wrestlers that you've seen on AEW that you'd never seen before, and you really like?
Do you know what? One that we just watched recently, who Eddie Kingston. He was on AEW 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yep. I'm trying to think.
Well,
yeah.
by the time this airs, it'll be 3 weeks probably.
Right. Okay. Well, he was on when we were recording this 2 weeks ago, and he debuted. And I hadn't seen him before. And I just really liked this character. I thought him coming out just really badass. And I just
They've actually signed him now to AEW.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was somebody that came along, and I thought not heard of before, brand new for me. Obviously, they were saying that he's been on the Indies for like, I can't remember how many years it was.
10 years, I think.
Yeah, it was quite a substantial amount of time. And yeah, just thought, loved his character, loved the way he portrayed himself, loved his in-ring work, everything. Yeah. Who else is there? Orange Cassidy, up until AEW, never heard of him.
No, I'd never heard of him, and there was a lot of talk when AEW signed him, and people were worried, of his character in AEW, but I think as long as they don't use his character in the wrong way, because consistently on TV, I think it can work.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Orange Cassidy gimmick. I think I've said this on the podcast before. It's literally just like watching a teenager these days. That real sort of can't be bothered to do anything. Everything is, such a hard life. Ugh, hands in pockets, that sort of thing. And I just think it's really funny. But yeah, I think if you use it in the right way, which I feel like they're having at the moment, it's a great gimmick. But if it gets, I don't want to say pushed too far, but I think it can quite easily turn sour.
Yeah, lose its value.
Yeah. So, but at the moment, I'm loving what he's doing. I love how he sort of goes from that real laid back, sort of casual, not looking like he can't be bothered to do anything, and then out of nowhere he sort of just like hits a few really good moves, and it's like back to being casual, and I think that's really good. Darby Allin.
Yeah, I was just thinking Darby Allin is probably one of the first wrestlers I hadn't seen before that made me want to tune into and watch AEW more.
He's just such an interesting character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit like, in some ways, he's a bit like Jeff Hardy and a bit unpredictable. He's a bit weird. You never know what he's really thinking.
Yeah.
Have
you got any other wrestlers?
Well, yeah, I've got quite a few. MJF, someone I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, he's on my list as well, MJF, yep.
His promos are really good.
Awesome promos.
Jungle Boy, someone else. I really like Jungle Boy. I think he's got a lot of potential. Like lots of people in AEW have a lot of potential there. Sammy Guevara.
Yes, me too. Really like Sammy Guevara.
Obviously, he had the first AEW Dynamite match with Cody on the first episode.
I feel like he's someone that just has that natural talent to make things. Well, how am I trying to? Let me just. He just sort of like he has that knack, a bit like Chris Jericho, I suppose. Where they can take something so simple and maybe something so blah, and then just flick it and make it really good.
Yeah.
And I think that his ability to do that, I think that's going to take him very far. Not a great example in terms of taking something far, but a bit like, you remember Damien Sandow when he was given some proper crap gimmicks.
Well, when he was the Mrs. Thunderbird.
Yeah, and those sorts of things, and he just made it so good. I realised that obviously he's not on.
Made chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, pretty much. I realise that now. Obviously, he's not on WWE, or I'm not even sure what he's doing.
Well, he was in the AWA Power, but I'm not even sure if that's even still going anymore with obviously COVID and.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I feel like he's someone that can do that. I know, obviously, there's been a lot of controversy around Sammy these last few weeks.
But it was something he said a long time ago.
It was, yeah, it wasn't.
And you'd like to think, like, he's just a young lad. You'd like to think he's matured a lot since then. And
I think obviously what he said was unacceptable, and that there is no excuse for it. But I feel like people deserve second chances. I feel like he owned up to his mistakes. He's done the things that. Did all the stuff that AEW and things like that. I think if Sasha Banks can go past it and say, right, I accept it, then I feel the need for me personally to be like, oh, I'm not going to watch him or whatever. I'm hoping that he's learnt from his mistakes and he's going to...
Yeah. I might get a bit of heat for saying this.
Oh, brilliant.
But, like, I think what he said, he was just being a lad in somewhere. No, I just mean, like, I don't think he said something like he did with intention to actually do something like that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not, like, defending what he's saying. I just mean, like, I'll change the subject.
Yeah. Because obviously I know no one can see us, as this is an audio recording. However, there is a lot of head shaking going on by myself, so we shall move on. Any other wrestlers that you like?
Britt Baker.
Yeah, I like Britt Baker.
I don't understand why she was a face at the beginning, really, because who likes to go to the dentist? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, why did they have her as a baby face? She should just the character she is now should have been all along, in my opinion.
But no, I do like her. I think she just is such the way she does it is so good that and I think it being an actual dentist as well really gives an extra layer to it because I think her character is for me I sort of like it's a bit ditzy almost really, isn't it? Like really stuck up and
Yeah.
but because she's actually a dentist, she like it just I just think it's really juxtaposed, so I like that.
Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford are two of the people I really like. I'd say I like Penelope Ford more than Kip Sabian. Just think she's got a lot of potential. I think she could be a big star in wrestling in the future, not just AEW, but I think she is someone who could even go to WWE and be a big star there. I think some stars in AEW are just like AEW. I don't mean that in like a lower tier, but I mean, I think she could go there. She could be someone that wouldn't want to be in AEW all the time, whereas I think some people would be. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. It will be interesting to see the first person to go from AEW to WWE.
Yeah.
Because everyone's sort of saying like, oh, who do you think is the next person to go to AEW and stuff like that, but nobody really talks about the other crossover, so that will be interesting. I think that's when things can get very interesting.
So, is there any people you like to see go to AEW? Either people from WWE, Impact, or people who currently aren't wrestling at the moment?
I was gonna no, he's just gone over. I was gonna say Zack Ryder. I don't know his real name.
Matt Cadder.
That's the one, but he just turned up last week, didn't he? So
yeah,
can't say that. I'd like to see like someone like Dolph Ziggler. I just feel like he's someone that in WWE he's just not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think he will go.
No.
But
he had plenty of chances to leave and he never did.
Yeah, so I think he's someone that he's like the first person that pops in my head. Not that I think they'd go, but I'd love to see the Miz go over.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Do you know
why the Miz?
I don't know. I like what the Miz does, and I'd like. I think I'd like to see him get a bit more free reign on his character and to see what.
The Miz is probably in the top 5 WWE guys.
Oh yeah, like, I realise this. I realise that things.
Oh no, I'm just saying like, if you had to pick 5 guys that are pure, live, eat, breathe, die WWE, I'd say the Miz was probably in the top 5.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Who else would I like to see go over? Funny enough, I'm going to say this, and you're going to be really shocked.
Okay. All right.
Baron Corbin.
Oh wow, you hate Baron Corbin.
I know I hate Baron Corbin. I do, but do I hate Baron Corbin because of WWE, or do I actually hate Baron Corbin? I'd like to find that out.
Well, I liked him when he was in NXT, and he had the really short matches. Yeah. Where the bell would ding, and then the crowd would be chanting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then seeing how long the match was going to go.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, as soon as they turned him, I can't even remember if he was a heel or babyface then, but when he turned more heelish, it's not even like I don't like him because they're heel, I just don't like him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see if he could put a different character on, and if it would, change my perspective on him personally.
Yeah.
Anybody for you?
So I have 5 names down. So one is actually Eric Young. I know he's just gone back to Impact, but it'd be nice to see him because obviously he's been in TNA and Impact for quite a long time. He went to NXT, did some great things in NXT, got taken to the main roster, and they did nothing with him. So it'd have been nice to see what another company other than TNA what they could do with Eric Young. Deonna Purrazzo, someone else who's in Impact at the moment. Just because I think AEW's women's division needs.
I was just thinking
another, a bit of a kick.
I was thinking someone like Ruby Riott.
Yeah.
I think her going over would be really good.
Well, one of the other people on my list, I was going to leave it to last, but I'll say it now since we're on the subject, is actually Charlotte Flair.
Which would never happen.
Well, I don't know. Like, if she's a bit like a dad, like he hopped from, WCW, WWF back to WCW. Like I don't think she would, but I think she could do something with that women's division. Like if she went in and was like the actual queen and treated the division as she was the queen of the division, tossed out the really crap AW Women's Championship and brought in her own like bigger championship because she's a bigger star than because she's a WWE made star. She could be like, I'm bigger than the company, so she could bring her like a belt that's even bigger than the AEW Men's Championship and maybe get it over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm also thinking of some women to go over because obviously their AEW, that's like one thing that really they do lack is their women's division. Obviously I realise they've got quite a lot of injuries in that division and whatnot, but yeah, that's how they could really build. So any other women from WWE that you'd like to take over? Or that you'd like to see go over, sorry?
Well, I would have said Sarah Logan when she got released. I thought she'd be really good in AEW, but obviously she's with child now.
Very exciting. I keep thinking maybe the Iconics.
Yeah.
I like the Iconics.
I really like the Iconics. It's just a shame what WWE do with them.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they won the tag team championships at WrestleMania, but then what did they do with them? Like,
Yeah.
It's kind of the history of the women's tag team titles in a way in WWE.
It seems a bit pointless bringing them out because there's just not enough women's tag teams, is there?
No. Even like Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, they're not really a proper tag team in my eyes.
Yeah.
Someone else on my list, I know I've already said 2 Impact wrestlers, but EC3, I would like him to go to AEW just because, same again, he's been in Impact. It'd be nice to see him and MJF on the microphone together, back and forth. And my last pick now is actually Aleister Black.
Oh, great shout.
Just because
great shout.
They're not doing the right thing with him on Raw. They've not done the right thing with him since he left NXT, in my opinion. And he's got so much potential. He's such a good wrestler. He's just wasted on the main roster just because they're not doing the right thing with him. His match with Adam Cole in NXT, I can't remember what takeover it was, but that was such an awesome match. His match with Velveteen Dream at War Games, another great match. He's just wasted it, and he could do some great things.
I literally just completely forgot about him. Thinking of someone, maybe I reckon maybe Finn Balor.
Oh yeah.
Because although he's doing all this stuff in NXT and whatnot, and that's great, but I feel like for me personally, he's a top tier guy. And I'd love to see him in AEW as a top tier guy.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see if Finn hadn't been injured after his Universal title win, where he'd be now. But
I'd like to think he would be in this position, but I'm not 100% confident saying that.
Well, I'm not really bothered he went back down to NXT. It's just he has so much potential, and they just never used it right in WWE on the main roster. But
just don't get it.
We could just say that about so many people. Going back to Eric Young, EC3, obviously Finn Balor, the Iconics, Aleister Black, Ricochet.
Yeah, Ricochet.
There's just so many.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
Bobby Roode.
Yeah. It's like how many I'm going a little bit off topic, but like think of how many people in NXT or NXT champion, and then they've gone to the main roster and they haven't done anything with him. Like,
just doesn't make sense, does it?
No. I mean, Bo Dallas.
Yep.
Neville, now Pac, obviously he's at AEW, but they didn't really do anything great with him, really, other than his Cruiserweight title run. Finn Balor.
I've said that 3 times.
Yeah.
We must be upset by Finn Balor.
Samoa Joe.
Yep.
Right, you just said Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, Andrade. They've kind of stop and start on his push a little bit, I would say.
Yep.
So yeah. But anyway, back to AEW.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
What are some things that you don't like about AEW? So we talked a lot about things that we
Yeah.
like.
So I would say the thing on the top of the list is we kind of already just talked about is the women's division,
Yeah.
and that would be my main nitpick. They are doing this tag team tournament. Hopefully that will be really good. But yeah, apparently they did say that they have the best women's division as well, and then they've never really tried, in my opinion. So
Yeah, not really. They're not really.
if they hadn't said it, then fair enough. But they did say it, so
Yeah.
I don't think it helped that WWE have kind of tried to scoop up every good female wrestler on the planet.
That's true.
But saying that, Impact are probably a better women's division than AEW.
Yeah. I think that's something they definitely need to work on. Is that AEW is the women's division. I don't think it helps. Their championship for women is horrendous.
Well, it's meant to be more of like a really old school women's champion. I get that, but still, it is 2020, and men and women should have more like equal rights, and you could probably fit the women's title in the men's title about 18 times.
I know.
The size difference is that.
It is. It just looks tiny. It just looks like a toy.
Don't get me wrong, I don't like in WWE how the men and the women's title in both NXT and the men roster are pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah.
But it is good how they're the same size and it's more equal.
It definitely, I agree. Because for me, the AEW one just looks like a bit of a joke. I'm sure they don't mean it that way. I'm sure they think that giving them like a classic style belt is supposed to be like really make it like give it a lot of honor or something. I don't know, but I just can't get on board with it. Not for me.
So something else that I've kind of not liked is on some of the pay-per-views how the title match hasn't ended the show. It's something I don't like about WWE, and now, well, even NXT they've done it, and now some at AEW have done also. I can't remember the Stampede match at the last pay-per-view that closed the show. It wasn't Brody Lee and John Moxley, which I think it should have been. When Jericho and Cody fought for the title, I believe Moxley and Omega ended the show. So I kind of think, maybe it's just me being a bit old school, but I think the title should close the show because being the AEW champion should be the most important thing in the company.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Like when I was a kid, whoever had the WCW championship belt was the most important thing in my life. And now, no one
it's just not the most important thing in your life now.
It's just a prop now. Like belts are just more of a props now, whereas in the old days,
they have value.
They have value, and people seem to care more.
Yeah, I get that. Unpopular opinion or something I don't like is the character of the Luchasaurus.
What? Why?
I just don't like it. I just think it's stupid.
Oh dear.
I don't get me wrong. I think he's a great wrestler. I do enjoy watching him in the ring that way, but his actual character, don't like. Annoys me.
Okay. I didn't like it how his mask nearly came off a few weeks ago, and he didn't really.
He should have rolled out the ring.
Yeah.
And go off the camera, because they know where the cameras are, don't they? They know, if you're in the middle of the ring, you're probably going to be on camera. So why try to put your mask back on in the ring?
Yeah.
Just saying.
I get it. But I disagree with you, so. I just think it's something different, something you've not seen before.
Yeah, I suppose. It is. It is something different. It's something you've not seen before. Just don't like it.
Okay. So something else I don't really like is how they assume you watch AEW Dark and they change storylines and things and just assume that you know what's going on when you don't.
Yeah.
Give us a bit of a recap or explain why. Like the bunny now just is Ali.
Yes.
Apparently that was like a dark thing, which I have no idea what happened.
That was on one of my notes as well. Like, when I was thinking about this, it's like,
I
You
really
just
like.
turned up one day and you're just like, oh, what's going on? And you know, there's so much wrestling that you can watch these days that if you had to add that in, like it's just so much time. Um, and maybe they do that to encourage you to watch that because you're thinking, well, I can't possibly watch, AEW, that of the main show, and know what's going on, so I'm gonna have to watch that. So maybe it's like a marketing point in that way. But
Oh yeah, I get that, but you kind of need a help to. Um,
it's like WWE always do like loads of flashbacks to the point where you're like, okay, we've seen this 600 times tonight, and then AEW
yeah,
just like a little bit the opposite. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I absolutely get what you mean. So something else that I don't like about AEW is what they're doing with Sean Spears. They seem to not really know what to do with him. They keep on changing his character up a little bit. For ages, he was trying to find a tag team partner, and then that kind of dropped. And now he's got this glove, and the glove's meant to, I don't know, give him power to win his match or something.
Yeah, isn't the glove somebody else's glove though?
I don't really understand.
I'm sure
He was the chairman, but after he'd hit Cody with the chair and busted him open, but I'm not sure if that's a thing now. So yeah, I just
they
think
just don't know what to do, then they can try lots of things to see what
he's
gets
probably
over.
he's probably one of the most underused wrestlers in AEW in my opinion. I really like him being with Tully Blanchard. That is obviously a good thing, but I think they just need to,
Find his niche.
or maybe stop trying to push a character down his throat and just let him be himself.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like Matt Hardy in AEW.
All right, why's that?
I feel like also like they use all his characters, don't they?
Yeah, well that's kind of what he wanted to do.
Yeah. I just.
But I think they're trying to get away from doing that now, and they're
Say.
trying to start him as a new, like, as a one, and like a new Matt Hardy, not a broken or Matt Tudor or whatever. Well, I think anyway.
Yeah, just when doing all these characters and doing that switch between and stuff like that, I just thought it was a bit in your face, a bit too much. Just a bit like I can see what they're trying to achieve with it. I just didn't think it worked. I can see what I can kind of see what they think they were doing with it and how they maybe thought it was going to be a good idea, but for me on screen, I just don't think it worked. It just sort of like I don't know.
Just didn't connect with you.
Just didn't connect to me. Yeah, just didn't think it clicked.
Something. Well, this isn't something just in AEW. This is in wrestling in general. Every wrestler seems to do a Canadian destroyer, and it really annoys me when people don't even know who originally did the move. Petey Williams used to do it in TNA, and now everyone seems to do it. It's just like another wrestling move where it should be such a devastating, like that should be a finish.
Someone's finisher, yeah.
Even if it's not your finisher move and you do it, that should end. In my opinion, it should end the match.
I always think, not that I dislike them, but Private Party. For me, they're just like another version of the Street Profits.
Yeah, they are very similar, and some of their matches are very botchy, I'd say.
Yeah, they do things and you think, oh god.
But the last thing I would say is that I don't like it. Well, I think they took the title off Jericho too soon. As much as I like Jon Moxley in AEW, kind of feel like Jericho feels like the biggest thing in AEW.
Yeah.
And now
this goes back to your idea of that, the belt should be the most important thing in AEW, and it's not.
Yeah.
Or the biggest thing in AEW, and it's not.
I look forward to more seeing what Chris Jericho is going to do on the show than Jon Moxley, where you should be thinking, wow, what's the champion going to do this week?
Yeah.
I think they need to help Moxley more being a better champion than what,
Yeah, than what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, because Jericho just feels like the biggest star in the whole company, and maybe they should have built Moxley more to try and get him over even more than he is.
Yeah, I agree, because you're right. Well, if both his fans say as well that you're looking forward to Chris Jericho over the champion Moxley, and I just he doesn't get as much TV time, I don't think, as Chris.
Not recently, but then he has. Well, his wife had COVID and other things, and
I suppose it must be. And I guess everything that's going on at the moment in the world with this pandemic, it changes the dynamic of so much stuff. So I always think like, well, if this wasn't happening, how would it be? But then you need to think, well, this is happening, and so you need to adjust. So, yeah, I know.
So before we continue with the podcast, if this is your first time listening to the Man
and the Wife
podcast at the Man Games, please give us subscribe to the channel. These podcasts go up every Sunday. We also have other content on the channel. We have lots of 2K20 content on the channel, so make sure you check that out also. And please like this video and let us know your opinion of AEW in the comments.
Oh, can we go back to a dislike?
Yeah?
Sorry.
No, you go back.
Am I to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's our show, we can do what we want.
That's true. Obviously, Vicky Guerrero has come into AEW with Nyla Rose. And I love Vicky Guerrero, don't get me wrong. But I would wish she would do something different. Like she's coming like, oh, it's the same character again. And I know that maybe they're doing what works and what they know, that's what she's known for. But why can't we see something different? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
You don't agree with me, do you?
Well, in one sense, I don't think she's ever been a woman's manager before. Whereas before in WWE, she was always on like Ziggler, Jack Swagger, Edge.
Yeah, but I know, but she's with a woman, so that's different. I get that, but her gimmick's the same. She's still the excuse me and that screechy voice and that, that sort of character. Why can't we have a different character off her?
It's still early days, so who knows what we might do.
Perhaps it will develop something different with Chelsea.
So storylines that I like personally since AEW has started at the moment, obviously, like I said before, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, their tag team.
How do they become tag team partners?
Well, I'm not really big on Young Bucks, but apparently being the Elite is like a group, and apparently, so the Elite I think is Cody, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and then they wanted Hangman Page into the Elite. So that's like a kind of like the Click in a way.
Okay.
Like that's the way I see it.
Right. Okay.
So that's why Page and Omega formed the team.
Right.
But I think Page wants to be more on his own than with Kenny. That's why they come to the ring separately and things like that.
Yeah.
But now recently, it looks like Kenny Omega's been showing more heel tactics than Page.
Just give me a turn scene, you reckon?
I don't even think it's going to be. I think there's a turn coming, but maybe I don't know which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
But I still think it's going to be a long process before we see someone turn.
Yeah.
Which doesn't bother me at all.
No, so we're actually planning things.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably my favourite feud in AEW so far since it started. Not feud, but storyline. Because when Page fought Chris Jericho for the AEW Championship, so they fought for the inaugural. That's what I tried to say. So the first AEW World Championship match, it was Chris Jericho and Hangman Page. And I never thought for 1 minute Page was going to win. Kind of thought why is someone who's not really as big of a star as some of the other people, why is in this position, never really got it. But now watching him in this storyline makes me just realise how wrong I was. Like how good Page is, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Another storyline I'm really liking at the moment is Brody Lee with Colt Cabana in Dark Order. I was trying to enticing him, and then when they're going to do bad things, he kind of like shields Colt away so he can't see what the bad stuff is that they're really doing.
Yeah.
Really, really like that. I've never really been a massive Colt Cabana fan, really, but I really like this. Maybe changing my
Sounds
ways.
like it. I was like, AEW seems to be changing your opinion on people.
Yeah. I like the partnership of Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss.
Yes. Yeah, I do like them. Actually, Sonny Kiss is someone that I've never seen before, and I really like him.
Yeah. Yeah, a really good match with Cody a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um,
A storyline that I liked, it's not going on now, it was back at the beginning, it's back in January, but DDP and MJF, I was watching that back in the day, and MJF's promo on DDP was really good.
yeah, when he was
WCW is dead, same as the average age of most of your fans or something like that. I just saw how they.
He just made a joke about sleeping with his daughter as well.
Yeah, and I know it's very, very small. This feud, I suppose you could say, or whatever it was, but that I really, really enjoyed that. I just think MJF in general on the mic is really good.
Yeah, it was good to see DDP back in a ring on TNT.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what I grew up with.
I like what they're doing with Brandy Rhodes and Ali.
Yeah, I kind of just wish it was more. I know it's the main roster then, but I wish it was more on AEW Dynamite and not Dark.
Yeah.
Just because there's so much wrestling to try and watch as it is. Obviously, I try to watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite. I've tried to watch Impact for the past few weeks as well. Don't really have time to watch Dark as well. I think I've only watched one episode of Dark.
Yeah.
Since it's begun. And that's only because Penelope Ford was on it.
Yeah, it is hard, like to watch everything and find the time to get everything done. To watch all this content. So it does make it difficult.
Cody versus Jericho, I thought was a really good feud. Some of Cody's promos were really good. Obviously, Moxley and Omega when AEW first started, that was a good program. I'm not really sure why Moxley ended up turning face. I assumed when he came in he was a heel, but then somehow he became a face. Not really sure how that really happened, but still, I really enjoyed that kind of stuff.
I enjoy Best Friends, in like during Fight Fest when they came down, when they arrived to the ring, like his mum was driving him and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's good. I thought that was funny. It did make me
reminded me a bit of Buff Bagwell and his mum in WCW, but you won't get that reference.
I will not get that reference, no. Have you maybe watched something about that? I think I have actually.
I think you've seen the Judy Bagwell on Paul match.
It may have been that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah. The less we talk about that crap, the better. So just we won't go into detail, but some matches that have been on AEW that I've really enjoyed. Pac versus Kenny Omega in Iron Man match on Dynamite, that is one. Penelope Ford versus Akira Shida recently. The Casino ladder match where Brian Cage debuted. That is another one I really enjoyed. Obviously, Dustin Rhodes versus Cody. We've already kind of spoke about it already. But Cody versus Eddie Kingston from just a few weeks ago. MJF against Jungle Boy at the last proper AEW pay-per-view. That was really good also. And probably my favourite match would have been the Young Bucks against Paige and Kenny Omega for the AEW Tag Team Championships at Revolution, I think that was.
Okay. So my favourite matches, I literally have two written down. I don't have as many as you. 6-man tag team match with Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends versus the Inner Circle, which is Hager, Santana, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Ortiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That was a match I really enjoyed, and that's a ladder match for the casino coin.
That I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're two that I can think of my head. I watched a match, and now I'm trying to think. There was a Sammy Guevara match, but I can't remember who versed.
Cody? Or was it Darby Allin? He had a very good match with Darby Allin.
Could have been that. Yes.
At Revolution as well, I think.
How long ago was Revolution?
Oh,
A while back.
yeah.
Yes, because I think that may have been one of the first matches I watched of AEW, and I remember being like, "Who's this Darby Allin guy?" Like I was a lot more intrigued on Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara, but obviously he's got more of a complex character, or comes across more complex. So yes, it would have been actually Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara.
Yeah. Also, another match would be the Lucha Brothers against the Young Bucks in the ladder match where I know I already mentioned the Canadian Destroyer, but they do a Canadian Destroyer off the ladder through. I can't remember if it was 2 tables or 1 tables, but that's just absolutely brutal how they don't kill each other doing that kind of stuff. I don't know.
At Fighter Fest, who are the best ones to fight?
The real Fighter Fest or like the
Night one.
Night one.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, wasn't it?
I think it might be, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that much.
Yeah.
I can only remember like one person on one tag team in the match, but I can't remember the verse.
Okay.
That is not good, is it?
No. So we'll move on from matches now. Obviously, there will be loads we've missed out, but these were just some off the top of our heads.
I like to point out as well is the man. I thought of some questions, but didn't tell me he was going to ask me these questions, so I wasn't 100% prepared for all these. So I do apologise.
Dare I ask you another question then?
Go for it. Let's see what comes out.
No, I'll leave this to more towards the end of the show.
Just show me a curveball. Is that what you do? Brilliant.
So I just found out the other day actually that Gallows and Anderson were meant to debut on the first episode of Dynamite.
Really?
Yeah, but instead they re-signed with WWE.
Oh, see, I thought that was a mistake.
Yeah. Instead they had Jake Hager debut, which I know a few people didn't really like, but I think Jake Hager's been a lot better in AEW than he was in WWE. Feel like they've used him, highlighted his strengths more than his weaknesses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would really like his wife to be more of a feature on the show. I know she does come in and do a little bit, but I think if once he leaves the inner circle, she could be a permanent manager for him, and that'd be really good.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, we've not spoken about him yet, but Lance Archer in AEW, that is, he's really good with Jake Roberts, obviously. I remember watching Lance Hoyt when he was Lance Hoyt in TNA in about 2006, and I remember thinking he's going to be the next big star in TNA. He's going to be a TNA World Champion, and that never happened. But 14 years later, he might be AEW champion soon, maybe. So just I don't know if you've thought of any, because obviously I've not told you, but any favourite Chris Jericho segments since he's been in AEW? Obviously, one of my favourite Chris Jericho segments from WWE would be his Festival of Friendship with Kevin Owens.
That's not AEW.
I know. But I'm saying one of my favourite of all time.
Oh, so you talking about any?
No, I'm just saying.
Sorry. Okay. Is that no or no?
I mean, this is a podcast where the wife doesn't listen to the man.
Continue.
No, I'm just saying one of my all-time Chris Jericho segments is the Festival of Friendship in WWE.
I just think everything that Chris does is just brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Saying things from a little bit of bubbly and how that caught on and stuff like that. Do I have to pick one segment?
Oh no, we can talk about multiple segments. You have to pick just one.
Well, one that I think was a bit like Marmite was that one with the orange juice and his white jacket. I really enjoyed that segment, and I now enjoy that he's now still wearing the orange stains white jacket or blazer. What do we call it?
And it still smells.
It still smells. So I've really enjoyed that. I like the way he follows through with things. Do you know what I mean? It may have happened one week, but it's still going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good. It is good.
Yeah. What about you?
Um, he had a promo with MJF when MJF first had turned on Cody, and it seemed like maybe they were gonna go face to face in a fight, and then next thing, MJF might join the inner circle, and that was like good promo work back to back. Jericho had to apologise. I can't even remember what he was apologising for.
To
Was it to Cody or John Moxley or?
Yeah, what was he doing?
Did he attack the referee or I can't remember why, but he had to.
I think it may have been attacking a referee.
Yeah, he had to apologise, and every time he went to say sorry, he passed the microphone to Jake Hager, and he'd actually say sorry.
Yes.
So Jericho had never actually apologised, but it was the first time Jake Hager had spoke as well. I just remember thinking that was really funny.
That was very good. Yeah.
I know we're not talking about matches, but he had a really good match with Jungle Boy. I just thought of that off the top of my head. They were doing some segments of the Bubbly Bunch, which is obviously this deck of the Brady Bunch, where they were just doing random things around the house.
Yeah.
Obviously at the beginning of lockdown, then Jericho's phone would ring and it'd be his sister, and he'd be complaining he had no toilet paper. And so they were like little funny little bits.
Yeah, this isn't strictly Chris Jericho, but obviously that Sammy Guevara when it was singing to Chris Jericho's music is.
Yeah, the first time was a lot better than the second time.
Yeah, I think the second time was very forced, but that first time.
Yeah, he generally didn't renounce most of the words.
He didn't, and it was just sort of like. It reminded me of somebody being drunk on karaoke.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so funny.
Because the second time, you could see he was purposely not saying the right words and things.
Yeah.
Jericho on commentary as well. That's been really good. Him with Tony.
Why is he on just for?
Well, it was when the beginning of lockdown. Obviously, they didn't want JR there because obviously he's an older gentleman,
health issues.
And I don't know why Excalibur wasn't there, but maybe
choosing not to be there, which I wouldn't blame them. But yeah, so Chris Jericho and commentary is really good as well. I feel like anything Chris Jericho does,
he touches goes to gold. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just want to say, obviously, Tony Schiavone as well in AEW. I think that is something that's really good. He's probably my favourite commentator of all time.
We do enjoy his podcast, don't we?
Yeah. Obviously, I grew up with Tony Schiavone as my main commentator in wrestling, so that's probably why he's my favourite. Obviously, he had a big gap out of wrestling. I think he did radio and worked at Starbucks for a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Go from working at WCW to working at Starbucks.
Yeah. He just I think he said on Jericho's podcast that he just he liked the coffee and just thought I'd work there, and he said he could. How funny it was how he'd work with all these girls, and their biggest problem was bitching about the other girl that worked there, and it's like, wow, this is people's real problems in life kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, a massive fan of Tony Schiavone. Obviously going back to the storyline thing, his storyline with Britt Baker is really good. How he's kind of like a mentor, but she hates him at the same time.
Yeah. It's like almost like a father figure, isn't it? Like. You know what I mean?
And he said on his podcast that his wife doesn't like Britt because she's so mean to Tony. Tony's like, it's just a storyline, but she still doesn't get it. Also, moving more back to the Britt Baker character, Big Swole. She's feuded with Britt Baker. I think she's another really good AEW women's wrestler that's got potential. She's married to Cedric Alexander in real life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You did actually, because I told you that the other day, and you said exactly what you just said then.
And I do listen to the man, I promise.
I like it. She wears the yellow Power Ranger like attire as well. I really like that.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad that we've not, but like I feel like we've dissed the women's division a lot, and I know that's not the women's fault.
Oh no, because some of the women that are there are really good.
Yeah.
Big Swole's really good. Britt Baker's really good. Penelope Ford's really good. Kara Shida's really good. Nyla Rose is really good. Rhea, the first women champion, she's maybe I don't really get it, but she's from what I saw, she seemed pretty good.
Yeah, I think they just need to build it that a little bit more and just give them a bit more time, just that bit more.
Yeah.
And I definitely think it could go far. So hopefully.
Hopefully that'll be something.
You would think with the WWE Women's division at the moment, especially, I think anyway, that's just so good at the moment, and their storylines are great.
It's kind of like
some people are great. So sorry, let me rephrase that. That the people that they're using at the moment in WWE, like Sasha Banks and Bayley and all that, that is so good what they're doing with them, and the women, like, for me, are just as good as, like, are just as important as the men, and it's not a big deal that they are just as important. It's just that's how it is. Their storylines are really hot at the moment, and that's just what it is. It's not like, oh, these women. It's just like, this storyline is good. We're gonna portray this, and you think that because the women are having that spot that in WWE, the AEW would like to be like, actually, we can do this too, and we have these great women.
Yeah. One thing I would say about AEW, some of the wrestlers in AEW don't feel like they need a championship, whereas I think in WWE, some of the wrestlers feel like they do need a championship.
Which one do you prefer?
Oh, AEW, definitely.
Okay.
Just like Ruby Riott, someone who's really good, feels like she needs a championship because she's not got it yet, and because there's so much of a talent there, if she doesn't get it now, when might she? Whereas I don't feel like Penelope Ford, I don't feel like she needs that AEW Women's Championship because I feel like a time will kind of come.
Okay.
Whereas in WWE, if Vince McMahon sneezes or someone burps in front of him or something, he'll lose his shit and change his ideas. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So good, is it?
It's like they got Bianca Belair on the main roster. What have they done with her?
I know. She's someone that should go to AEW.
Yeah. So just going back to the Dark Order storyline for a quick second, before we go on to the last topic of the show. They've kind of changed the Dark Order quite a lot since AEW has started. I'm not sure whose idea it was, but they did have some like good promos of joining the Dark Order.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I like the way they revealed Brodie Lee.
Yeah, we've not really spent a lot of time really on Brodie Lee, but I do really like Brodie Lee.
I do. I think what they're doing with him is, I love it. Like, I think it's just different from obviously what he was doing in WWE.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I think it's really good. I like the promo he cut when he was revealed as the what's it called? The
Exalted One.
That's the one, the Exalted One. And that promo he cut, and I just thought that was really good. And his persona, the way he does it is great.
Yeah. And one thing I will say is something that doesn't really happen in wrestling anymore. I've missed watching him wrestling because he's been doing so much like good promo work and segments. Like I'm ready to see him have a match again now. Whereas like in WWE, Seth Rollins is gonna have a match every single week, or if he has a segment one week, then the next week he has a match. Like they don't like Seth Rollins has a match at least once every 2 weeks, whereas I don't remember. I don't think he's had a match since he lost to Jon Moxley. I might be wrong, but I can't remember a match he's had since then. I mean, he might have had a squash match, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, you're anticipating watching the match now. You're going to be excited for it because you've not seen it. It's like, yeah.
It's like when when NXT used to do their like monthly tapings. Sometimes you might not see some wrestlers for like 4 weeks because just the way the schedule worked. Like I remember, I used to really like Enzo and Big Cass in NXT, but then some weeks you wouldn't see him for 4 weeks because that was just the way the circle would work. And like I think a lot, I know this isn't AEW related, but I think a lot of people liked Enzo and Kaz, and because they turned out to not have great main roster runs and things like that, I think people now pretend like they didn't like him when everyone did. They were so over. But now people pretend they don't like them.
Obviously, not only did they not have a great, well, they did a pretty good run in the main roster, but then obviously they had lots of they had lots of issues.
Yeah.
And things like that. So anyway, but we did like them.
Yeah, it just annoys me when like something happens and people pretend like they never liked them people anyway. It's like, well, like you did, you just now because it's not politically correct to say you did like him. Now you're choosing to change, like
Yeah,
rewriting the past kind of thing.
yeah.
So the last topic, unless you have something before I go into it.
No, you go and then I'll
Well,
discuss.
I was just gonna say, what would you like to see from the future of AEW? Any like storylines or matches or feuds? People you like to see more of? People you like to see less of?
Um, I would like to see. I'd like to see MJF do some more. Potentially like, or maybe he's already done this, so we have to cut this out. I'd like to see MJF do some more. Um, Potentially with like Chris Jericho and that sort of push him up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it might be. Well, the promo is cut recently on AEW. Sounds like he might be wanting to challenge for the title.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think obviously his promo work is so good, so I'd love to see a bit more of that. I'm looking forward to seeing Sammy Guevara turn on Chris Jericho.
Guevara,
damn it, every time. That's not the first time I've done that. Turn Jericho, I feel like that is coming a long way away, but I think that's something that they're like sort of teasing or hinting at. So that's going to be very good. Did not agree? That little face you pulled there was.
I don't know. I kind of. I think they've got a lot more they can do with.
Yes,
them.
no.
So
I think they'd have, and they do, and I think this thing should happen very far down the line. But I think when it does happen, I'm hoping it'll give Sammy that boost to just sort of become a big star, not just be like second to Jericho.
Yeah, maybe push him into the TNT title picture or something like
that. Yeah, that's it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be interested to see Britt Baker wrestle again, because obviously her gimmick at the moment is that she can't wrestle, and
she's injured. She should be wrestling again soon, I think.
Yeah, but I wonder if they're going to stretch out a little bit longer.
No, maybe.
But yeah, so seeing her wrestle again, because it's against Big Swole, isn't it?
Well, you'd like to think that's where
that's where they're going. So I think that's going to be really good. See those two. I'm looking forward to the women's tag team tournament.
Yeah.
Hoping that brings some more talent in and gets some more time for the women on TV. What about you?
I'd like to see more from Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah.
Obviously they're in the inner circle with Jericho, and I feel like they've never really had their time to shine. Really, they've always been in the background. I really liked how Ortiz nearly drowned in they did that the Stampede match that I mentioned, and he was in this really shallow pool, and he was saying he couldn't swim and he was going to drown. And then when the orange juice came down, and he was acting like he was going to drown, and no one helped him. That really annoyed me actually. But they've got potential, they've got charisma. They could be doing more with him, but their tag team division is so stacked as it is.
I guess it's hard to.
FTR versus the Young Bucks. Obviously that's something hopefully we're going to get soon. That's something I'm really looking forward to. Pac hopefully being back on AEW soon. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming he's stuck in the UK at the moment with travel restrictions and stuff he can't get over. I'm sure at the beginning of lockdown he was sending promos in. I think, obviously, things have been going on that long. It's hard to remember.
What? Yeah, it's hard to keep up with everything, isn't it?
And I think I might be wrong, but I think now there might have been just as many AEWs without a proper crowd than there has been with.
Oh, really?
Because the pandemic and things have been going on for that long.
I wonder. I think we'll watch back some wrestling. It's going to be so interesting watching fans come back in. Obviously, it's going to be a very, very long time away.
I think they're saying March 2021. I think
Oh, really?
at the moment, yeah, the earliest.
I'm surprised they even putting a date on it, to be honest. But,
Yeah. Can you imagine having another WrestleMania in a crowd? I know this isn't related to AEW, but
yeah, that would be crazy. But then how, like,
imagine having a Royal Rumble without a crowd. Like, it's not going to be the same.
I think they'd do a cinematic match for that again.
The Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
I mean,
a bit like they
maybe.
did with the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I just don't really know how the.
I don't know.
You can eliminate them off the top of the building.
Onto the smaller building.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see how they bring crowds back in, what the crowds are going to be like. Obviously, they can't refill arenas straight away, can they? So it's going to be interesting, I think.
Well, you'd like to think if there's an arena that can fit 15,000 people in, they just have maybe 3.5 or something. Yeah. Like, you know, not. Then people can socially distance and everything can be safe. And
I hope so.
But then would they be losing money because obviously you need to rent out these arenas? Would it even be worth the time? Like, think of how much money, say, like WWE would be saving because they're not booking out arenas, they're not paying for people to travel.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's very true.
Obviously, I don't know about AEW, but
yeah, because they always do it in what's it called, Daly's place.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I wonder how they've secured that location. Anyway.
So yeah, going back to more things like to see from AEW, I like to see more of Jimmy Havoc when he's back. Him, Kip Sabian, and Penelope Ford. I thought they were a real good threesome of a team. So yeah, I'd like to see more of them. And obviously, can't wait to see where Kenny Omega and Hangman Page storyline is going to take us. Same with the Colt Cabana in the Dark Order. Really looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. And like recently, there's been a few like, could Cody be turning heel? Like kind of like hints.
Okay.
See, when AEW first started, I thought surely Cody's gonna be like the first AEW World Champion. That just makes so much sense. But obviously, he's not being selfish. He's not making it about himself. But I think kind of that's what people really wanted at the beginning.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? But I think they were the right choice because, you know, I like what they're doing with it. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and like I think some people think, oh, he's just jumping on the bandwagon, but like I really like Cody when he was in WWE. Like his match with Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 27 was my favorite match of the show, and like it wasn't for a title or anything. It was because Ray busted his face open and broke his nose or something. That's why he wore the mask. Yeah. So yeah, really liked their feud, really liked their match. Like I said, I thought it was the best match on the show. Obviously, that was WrestleMania that was headlined by John Cena and The Miz.
Which you hated.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like the dashing Cody Rhodes character in WWE. I thought it was like a kind of like an old school character, but they've kind of modified it a bit to make it more current. So yeah,
what I don't like about Cody now is his tattoo.
You're gonna say that. Even Brandy didn't like the tattoo, I don't think.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Could you imagine, if you came home with a tattoo on your neck like that, I would be fuming. I'd just like, what have you done to yourself?
Yeah.
Do you think he like talked to her about it, or just came home and was like, "Look what I've done! Look at this monstrosity."
I reckon he probably told her, and I bet she's like, he wouldn't do that. And he came home with it and was like, "Oh shit."
I have to deal with this now.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, because she has to look at it more than he does, he can only see what's in the mirror.
Yeah.
So.
Apparently, Matt Cardona as well has only signed for a 5 appearance deal or something. So it'd be interesting to see.
Oh, I'd like to see him stay.
Yeah. Just depending on what they're going to do with him, because obviously we've seen babyface Zack Ryder in WWE for so long. Are they hopefully they're going to do something a bit different with him in AEW and make him a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
You don't really want to see the same thing.
No.
But he seems to have jacked up a lot. He looks in really good.
He was really good shape, wasn't he?
Condition, yeah. So anything else
I'm interested to see what the TNT belt looks like when it's finished.
Oh, yeah, I was meant to say that before, actually. Yeah, it's meant to be finishing soon, I think, as well.
Oh, really?
In a couple of weeks.
Obviously, when it was first brought out, and they didn't say on the show, did they?
I don't think they put it over enough, like that it wasn't.
Because we were both like, oh god, that's a bit bland. And then obviously we found out that it wasn't finished. And obviously that put them in a really difficult situation, wasn't it? Like, obviously this whole pay-per-view was around this belt.
Yeah.
And then they can't even get it finished, and it's like, well, what do we do? And I think tough times, tough decisions. I think they made the right decision of just saying, right, let's just roll with it because it is what it is. We want to still give you really good, a really good product. But I'd be very interested to see what it looks like when it's finished.
Yeah. So I just did think of in that match where Mike Tyson was obviously at ringside, and they cut to him, and he's sat there yawning, watching Lance Archer and Cody. Thought, like, you all the times to cut to him. Why did you cut to him there?
Someone obviously got bollocked for that, didn't they?
Yeah. Can you imagine Kevin Dunn doing that in WWE? Like,
yeah, that's not going to happen, is it?
I wonder if the Mike Tyson versus Chris Jericho feud will pick back up.
Yeah,
you like to think they'd say that for when we did have fans, so maybe like, in like a year's time or something, maybe pick that back up.
Do it like a year anniversary from the pay-per-view, yeah. Potentially. Nope, that's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I guess we'll close the show on that then. So if you did enjoy this week's podcast talking about AEW, please give
I do feel like we spent more time talking about WWE than AEW.
No, we didn't. We were only saying the bad things, really, there.
That is true.
Mainly.
You kind of get swerved off, don't you?
Yeah.
You can't talk about one without the other. That's kind of how it works these days, isn't it?
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
So the next podcast on the show is going to be us reviewing SummerSlam 2013.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
this is news to me.
At least I think that is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2013.
We're doing that now, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, if it is the right year, I'm pretty sure it is. It is John Cena versus Daniel Bryan in the main event. There was also CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar on the card. One match I'm really looking forward to watching back is Alberto Del Rio against Christian. So yeah, looking forward to watching that back this week, and then obviously reviewing it on the podcast show next week. So yeah, that was all from the Man
and the Wife
podcast. Please give it a like. Let us know what you thought in the comments. What do you like and dislike about AEW? And obviously, please subscribe to the Man Games. Thank you for listening.